One of the best things about being a lover of chocolate is just how many different ways there are to enjoy it. While my preferred way is always in the form of a big bar that I can share or not share, I also love chocolate in desserts. I love chocolate in tiny little truffles. I love chocolate flavored things. And I also, especially while it's still cold outside, love a hot chocolate. And moving to Italy only showed me even more how much I love that. If you guys are unfamiliar with what I always refer to as Italian style hot chocolate, or chocolate that's served so much thicker than in other places that it's almost comparable to a dessert rather than a drink. It's so beautifully smooth, rich, and thick that it's almost easier to eat it with a spoon than it is to drink it, however you prefer though. For my birthday, I received this beautiful, beautiful package of all different kinds of hot chocolate from a company called BAM. And inside this big box, there were 5 different kinds of hot chocolate, as well as this huge big bag of mini marshmallows, also some baking ingredients like some orange flavored chocolate drops. And rather than just enjoying them as they are or enjoying them one bag at a time, I wanted to enjoy them all with you guys and let you guys know overall whether BAM hot chocolate is worth your money. So we actually tasted their kind of classic hot chocolate off camera. We really fancied some hot chocolate one night, so we made it. And we were both very, very impressed, both with and without the kind of mini marshmallows added on top. We're talking a really kind of bold, proper, rich cocoa flavor, not too sweet, not too milky, and nothing too kind of fake in there. They even add a little pinch of salt to the hot chocolate mix so that you get a lovely kind of balanced flavor. We drank it a couple of times and then I thought it was about time I started sharing with you guys. So let's get into reviewing the other flavors. Okay, so the first of the kind of fancy flavored hot chocolates I want to try from BAM is the extra dark hot chocolate powder. We've already tasted the classic and very much enjoyed it on multiple occasions, but this one intrigues me a lot. Dark hot chocolate can be a real hit or miss kind of thing. It can often just mean extra cocoa powder and less sugar, or sometimes even just making a hot chocolate with water instead of milk, which So this flavor contains just 5 ingredients: sugar, cocoa powder, cornstarch, corn flour, maize starch, whatever you want to call it, flavorings, and salt. The addition of salt makes me very, very happy because a pinch of salt in chocolate can change everything. What makes this one extra dark is that it's 34% cocoa powder versus the classic flavor, which is only 28%. A 6% difference may not sound like a lot, maybe it will taste like a lot, or maybe we really won't notice that much. What I am glad to see is that there isn't any kind of colorings or anything in there that's going to make this like jet black. You know how some dark cocoa powders or like super dark chocolate cakes and things like that can add coloring, which just, no. So I'm going to make this just in exactly the same way according to the instructions as I made the other one. I'm going to add some marshmallows on top just because I feel like this is one of the ones that will work with best, and let's taste it. I have to say this one doesn't smell that much kind of darker than the classic flavor, but let's see. Milk is nice and warm now, so let's just gradually add our powder. Okay, I wanted to see if it would fit into an espresso cup just because it's a little small portion, and it does. How cute is that? Almost don't have any room for my marshmallows, but let me rectify that. May this be a point of reference for anyone who isn't kind of accustomed to the texture of Italian style hot chocolate. Oh yeah. I must say it isn't kind of worlds apart in terms of the cocoa flavor from the classic to this one. The marshmallows are absolutely perfect with it, both in terms of sweetness and in texture. It tastes like the inside of a chocolate fondant cake. You know, those like chocolate lava cakes you get in restaurants just about everywhere, or when you slice into the cake, that chocolate pours out. Beautifully smooth, super easy to make. I wouldn't call this extra dark. It's definitely a dark chocolate flavor, even with the kind of added milk to it. But I would also probably say the same about the classic. It's definitely one that isn't milky or sweet. It's a proper bold cocoa flavor. It's also not so dark that people who aren't super into dark chocolate would dislike it, if that makes sense. It's every bit as good as the classic. Very impressed. Next in the BAM lineup is the hot chocolate with hazelnut. Now this essentially just seems to be the classic but with added ground hazelnuts and extra flavorings in there. So I'm gonna make myself a little batch, maybe sprinkle on a couple of marshmallows and let you know how it is. So the instructions seem to be just about the same as well. I have to say the smell isn't too different from the classic. There's a kind of little note of hazelnut in there and it looks as if we might have some tiny pieces of hazelnut in there. Let's get our milk heated up and let's make it. It smells amazing. Definitely not the smoothest so far, but I'm wondering if that's because those are actual hazelnuts. Okay, some marshmallows have been included and have already begun to melt, some of them, as you can see. So we're looking at about the same kind of thickness as the others so far. Definitely not as kind of smooth though, and it looks like someone else is interested too. There is a really gorgeous smell of hazelnuts, but I have to say the appearance is definitely less kind of enticing than the others. But at the same time, it makes sense, and I am happy to see there are actual hazelnuts in here, not just flavoring. But let's see how it tastes. I have to say, it's definitely a more kind of savory hazelnut flavor than I was expecting. You can tell that there's a kind of flavoring in there as well as the actual nuts. But that kind of uneven, more almost brownie batter-like texture definitely brings you a nice natural hazelnut flavor too. It's every bit as strong with the kind of chocolate taste in there, but the overall flavor, I have to say, is richer, but a lot less sweet. There's definitely more kind of emphasis on the nutty than there is on the chocolatey. If you love chocolate and hazelnut, if you love gianduja, I think this is a good one, but I'm not sure it would take a kind of better spot than the classic one for me. The time has arrived to try the one that I am possibly the most curious about, mostly because I've just never seen a white chocolate Italian style hot chocolate. I've never seen that kind of thick white chocolate. I've only ever seen it with milk or with dark chocolate. And amongst the collection, I have a white chocolate with hazelnuts, much like we've already tried the kind of classic with hazelnuts version. But my curiosity just brought me first to this white hot chocolate with coconut. So the ingredients are slightly different. Obviously there's no cocoa powder in there. Instead we can expect mostly the sugar, the kind of cornstarch. There's milk powder in this one. There's also some cocoa butter, some dextrose, some coconut flakes, some vanilla flavoring, some salt, and also a kind of thickener. So definitely looking like a much more put together product, far more ingredients involved to get it to what I'm guessing is going to be a similar kind of consistency. The main thing I'm concerned about is more the appearance of this, whether it's going to be white, you know, like weirdly kind of puddingy white, or whether it's going to look like custard but also with flakes of coconut. I don't really know. I would seriously doubt it's going to taste bad. It might just taste overwhelmingly sweet and rich and have a weird appearance. But enough about me. You can take the rich part out. Let's get this one ready. I'm going to probably avoid the marshmallows on top of this one initially, just because I think it's going to already be very sweet. But otherwise, the instructions seem to be basically exactly the same in terms of quantities and preparation. So let's get it made. Based on the smell alone, it's like somewhere between a vanilla milkshake and like vanilla flavored protein powder. Very interesting. Have to say, certainly not the most appealing combination of color and texture. It kind of looks like I have a cup of bechamel sauce or very, very loose mashed tatties here. However, we don't want appearances to dictate how we feel about things, so let's actually taste it and see how it is. I have to say, it's definitely giving more of a kind of custard smell than I thought, which probably sounds silly because basically everything inside it is custard powder, aside from like some yellow colouring. But there isn't that strong a smell of coconut. You get it just a little bit, but let's taste it and see how it is. Even looks like bechamel on the spoon. It feels and tastes like a white chocolate coconut custard. Significantly sweeter than the others. I think I made the right decision in not putting the marshmallows on top, but it still has the perfect kind of texture, consistency for doing so if you wanted to. It's just that I think it would be overwhelmingly like gooey and sugary and sweet. What I would say about this one though, despite the appearance not being the prettiest, in my opinion, is that it's definitely not like any other I've had before. The classic hot chocolate from this range was good, and definitely one of the better kind of thicker hot chocolates I've tasted. However, one could argue that it's something you can find almost anywhere, you know, whether the quality is good or bad. This is the kind of thing I haven't found anywhere. You know, I've seen white hot chocolates before, never with coconut, and never to this consistency, at least in my experience. And the balance of the kind of pieces of coconut to everything else is a bit better in this one than it was in the hazelnut one, I have to say. You get like an occasional couple of flakes of coconut, not big chunks of hazelnut that just kind of throw off the whole texture like the hazelnut one did. It feels kind of festive, it's cozy, it's delicious, and it's definitely something different. Big fan of this one. So the final flavor we have to taste from the BAM hot chocolate range, which we are just absolutely lapping up so far, is the white hot chocolate with hazelnuts. Now, admittedly, as you guys know, the kind of classic hot chocolate with hazelnuts was probably my least favorite so far, mostly in terms of texture, just because instead of being that lovely kind of smooth consistency, it was, you know, crunchy and smooth at the same time. It wasn't exactly what I personally was looking for. Let's see if this one turns out any better in terms of appearance and consistency, or see if the kind of sweetness from the white chocolate can battle and balance out the savoriness of the hazelnuts that we found last time. Let's make some. So the ingredients in this one are pretty similar to the ingredients of the white chocolate with coconut. We have the sugar, the cornstarch, we have milk powder inside, as well as the milk we're going to add, cocoa butter, dextrose, some hazelnut grains, an extra thickener, some flavoring, some salt, and some vanilla. So all pretty kind of normal to be expected with a white hot chocolate, but let's see how it is. I have to say the smell, much like the white chocolate coconut, smells like vanilla protein powder. It smells super milky and you can really smell that vanilla flavoring, but let's see how it is. Much like the other white chocolate flavor, it's got this beautiful vanilla custard smell as it's warming up. It smells really, really like childhood vanilla ice cream, if that makes sense. There we are. Consistency, as always, absolutely perfect. With the white hot chocolate, I have to say, definitely somewhat strange in comparison because it does look like somewhere between custard and bechamel. I have to say from the smell, I'm not getting a lot of hazelnut. The main smell I'm getting is just warm vanilla. So let's see if the hazelnut kind of comes across in the flavor, how the textures are, and whether it's worth picking up. The hazelnut is there, but it's just there. Smooth, sweet, creamy, little crunch of hazelnut now and again. It definitely feels like there's fewer hazelnuts in here than the classic one with hazelnut. The hazelnut is just detectable. Just detectable, and it's really, really having to fight to keep up with the vanilla. If you were someone who didn't like hazelnut, you could probably eat this and enjoy it, you know. I think I would pick up the coconut flavored one again before picking this one up again. It's good. It's not kind of as wow as the classic or the extra dark, but it's good. Overall, I must say I'm very, very impressed by the standard and the quality of BAM in general. It's definitely made me want to try more of their flavors. It's definitely made me see the Italian style chocolate and achieving that gorgeous kind of texture that you would get from a hot chocolate at a bar in a pasticceria isn't impossible to achieve at home. And whether you enjoy it as a drink, as a dessert, as a little kind of after dinner pick-me-up, as a snack, whatever, it's just the perfect little portion to have a hot chocolate in compared to the giant milk-laden monstrosities that I'm used to from back home in the UK, honestly. And if you guys have tried anything from this company before, do let me know in the comments. Let me know what you thought. But I'm afraid that is all I'm going to have time for in today's little kind of recap review. Thank you so much for watching, especially if this one was a bit longer than my reviews usually are. I had a lot of fun stitching this one all together and tasting these over the course of a few different days. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you for the next one.